Commanders family, we have a star-studded season recap special on deck for you. My game day crew is here to help me break down the incredible year in Washington. Plus, we have the radio broadcast crew ready to share their favorite moments from the season. And we have the dynamic duo of Fred Smoot and Sean Springs talking all things defensive backs. We've got Super Bowl champs, Washington record holders, and, well, Fred Smoot. And it all starts right now. Commanders family, as I said, we are here in Ashburn, Virginia at DC Prime, our favorite place to hang out with not only ex-Commanders, but our beloved Commanders fans. Now, it's not just Brian Colbert Jr., it's not just Brian Mitchell, it's not just Santana Moss. We got the whole crew here for y'all. Because like I said, this is very, very special. We got the radio broadcast crew. That's Bram Weinstein, that's Logan Paulson, and that's Big Fletch, London Fletcher. Then, of course, we got the Get Loud crew, Mike Jenks and Fred Smoot. And you know what? They let Fred's best friend join, Sean Springs. Look at all of them over there looking real good. We're going to hear from all of them. We are going to hear from all of them in this episode. Before we do that, let's do what we do. The game day crew back. We got some good drinks. We got some good food here. Fellas, what a season we had, man. What a season we had. It's only right that we started off and recap it off. What was most impressive? I know this is tough, fellas. Yeah. B, I'm going to start with you. What was most impressive to you about this season?
To be honest with you, the most impressive thing for them to get to the position that they got to that quickly. Yeah. You know, normally when you bring so many people from different areas, it's hard to come together. But that shows you how the coach was able to be effective with the players and how the players brought in. Yeah. You know, you got a young guy like Jaden, and you also have an older guy like Wagner. Those guys, the way that they acted, brought everything in real quick, because I've been around for a long time, and I have never seen a team come together that quickly.
No, right. I mean, he hit dead on the head. As a player, I've been on teams multiple years, and you don't look like a complete team. You still missing pieces here and there. I was impressed out the door. Just these guys found the way to be as one. And you don't normally see that quick, especially with a new head coach, a young quarterback. You know, I guess it was what 20-some players that we had that was new on that team. You don't see it that quick. So, to me, that's the only reason why they got as far as they went last year, because they was a team. They was a team when they started week one. They lost as a team, and they moved on from that game and went out there and won a lot of games as a team.
And Phyllis, us being part of that game day crew, we're doing Saturday Night Lives on location. We're on enemy territory fields. We're on our home field. And to me, what impressed me most was the resurgence of this amazing fan base. They were hungry for success in their burgundy and gold, and they got just that. When you look at this fan base and the way they traveled to each and every game, we had a lot of road games. Had some long road trips, man. How impressed were you by this fan base, and how happy was it somebody that has bled for this team see this fan base be resurged like that?
You know what? I was so happy to see the fan base to come out, because they've been waiting for this for a long time. But I was happier for the players to see how much support they actually have. You know, I've been telling guys for the longest, if you win here, it lasts for a lifetime. And believe me, the fan base came out tremendously for them.
Yeah, I was ecstatic about it. I mean, each and every week, I almost look forward to seeing and just, I guess you can say, interacting with the fans more than I did the game at times, because to me that was an experience in itself. As a player for so long, you play the game, you see the fans, you never get a chance to really connect. Now I'm enjoying this post, career when it comes to just being able to get there before the game and actually participate in some of the pep rallies and stuff of that nature. So, I mean, the fans mean a lot to what we do on the field. So it's been great to see these guys all come back and cheer and fight on with this team.
Fellas, memories and a season that we will not soon forget. Let's take a look at a recap of our very special 2024 NFL season. It was a notable first season in the burgundy and gold for general manager Adam Peters and head coach Dan Quinn. The duo led Washington to its first 12-win season since 1991, capping it off with a trip to the NFC Championship. Here's what managing partner Josh Harris had to say about DQ and AP's first season in Washington.
Look, obviously, the season came out amazing and better than anyone expected, and no one could have sat where we were all sitting at the beginning of the season, where we had entirely, for the most part, a new coaching staff, a new front office. More than half the players were changed, but obviously, credit to Adam and Dan and their staffs for bringing everyone together, and credit to the players for making it happen on the field. And So look, we got it. Like we've arrived, and that changes expectations. And I've lived through this before, and we welcome it. And we're just going to work harder and to create a situation where next year we win.
You heard Mr. Harris. What a first season for AP and DQ, a 12-5 record. First time in the NFC Championship since 1991. They had the Offensive Rookie of the Year. DQ was a finalist for the AP Coach of the Year. And of course, they had a ton of Pro Bowlers and All-Pro selections. I can't think of a better first year for the Burgundy and Gold. Now, let's send it out to my guys, the Get Loud crew, for more on AP and DQ.
Great season for those guys. When you talk about Dan Quinn and Adam Peters like working in tandem, it feels like they just had the same mindset as far as culture and what they wanted to build together.
Just being in sync. It's almost like a marriage, and this is a marriage that worked, that don't even need counseling. And the thing about it is, I don't think he put a lot on his plate early. I thought they did a good job of, one, protecting him from the local media and everybody else, and saying we're going to spoon feed him until we think he's ready to take on everything. And I think once he started moving, he just took off.
See, when you think about it was a regime change, obviously, so nobody knew what to expect. You go out and get Adam Peters. You know about his reputation from San Fran. But the critical decision was, what was he going to do? And he picked Jaden first. And there was a lot of quarterbacks that could have won first pick.
Absolutely.
And I think we won the lottery when it came to quarterbacks. But then Dan's personality and the way they built the team together and some of the rookies they brought in and how they built these free agency. Bobby Wagner comes to mind. As one of them, all these guys came together. It was just like you said, a tandem that was like a match made in heaven. Great job by the
Especially
organization.
when you're talking about the ultimate team sport. This is one of those things where you can't have certain weaknesses, and you always got to work in unison. And I think that's what we got this year. We got all three levels. We got Adam Peters working with Coach Quinn. We got Coach Quinn working with the team, and they was all on the same page. One team, one vision.
They built it the right way.
And it's so hard to find that perfect mix of veterans and the young guys. And I feel like they found that together.
And that's what they mean when they said they wanted to go out and find commanders. I know a lot of people thought that was so cliche at the time.
No, but that's the truth, though.
And I think we talk about the players, though. How about some of the coaches? Joe Witt.
No, this Cliff
Kingsbury.
Unbelievable.
Coach Slim from San Diego. So not only did they get the players, but they got
Coach
the right
Ingram,
coaches.
all of these guys.
Right coaches to mix in with those guys, man.
You know what stood out to me is that when Cliff Kingsbury was asked about potentially coaching in the future as a head coach, he said, I want to. But he said he learned so much from Dan Quinn, setting the bar culture-wise. He said, I learned from him because he set a standard and made sure everyone applied to that standard. And so that was huge for this team.
Coaches learn just like players learn. And come on, we got Coach Quinn in his second stint as a head coach. So Coach gonna do the same thing. He learned from his mistakes. We only human.
And I like the fact that, Coach Lynn, who's on the staff, was the head coach at the Chargers. So we had several guys on the staff that's already been head coaches. So that was great, man. And then Adam Peters. And when you're drafting, you got to get the right players, but the right quarterback for the city. And I think part of the psyche when you're thinking about drafting Jay, he's perfect for Washington, D.C.
It was a great season for those guys. Also a great season for our guys in the booth. So take a look.
This is your can't miss moment presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the Washington Commanders.
It is Who wants to go to the playoffs? Touchdown! Touchdown, Washington!
And the inaccurate throw leads to the Quan Martin drive down 8 Mile, bending corners and swerving into the end zone of the Detroit Lions. Whoa!
Steps up, good pocket, throws it a little field. Picked off! Jeremy Chin's got it! That's it! Celebrate like it's 1991! We're going to the NFC Championship game!
This is the Motown, the home of Motown, and tonight they'll be playing the blues, baby!
Little known fact, after each game, this is how we come down from all the games as we sit in front of the fire.
Oh, yeah.
You believe that?
I do believe it because we do it all the time.
We do.
I enjoy an adult beverage. At least Brown might do, not Logan.
Not Logan.
Yeah, don't put that poison
that's
in my
been
body.
settled over today. What do you think? What are you thinking about now? The season's over. What do you remember from the regular season?
Oh, man, this season was absolutely amazing. It was a blur to it.
once it was all over, you just like, man, did we really just live through that season? Just a dream season, miracle season. I was a little kind of bitter a little bit watching the Philadelphia Eagles win that Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. I was like, man, I would have loved to have been playing in that game, but all in all, it was an outstanding season.
I know the Hail Mary was incredible, and it's, I think we're all very privileged to have been part of something like that because it never really happened. But the Cincinnati one, that was the first time that we saw this team do that on that kind of stage, and that's the one that really stands out to me. I think it was the one where I think all of our eyes were kind of open to what was possible for them.
When you look at that Cincinnati game, when the schedule first came out, and you're kind of saying, okay, wins, losses, you kind of on paper, that looked like it was going to be a really tough game for us. Going into Cincinnati, Monday Night Football, Cincinnati Bengals, really good football team, and the performance that Jaden put up. I mean, he was outstanding in that ball game, blow for blow, going toe to toe against Joe Burrow. And as you mentioned on that play, that 3rd and 7 play where he hits Terry on the bomb, standing in the face of pressure, staring down a blitz. And your excitement, you guys up on that call, the way y'all described it was just amazing.
And it was also kind of one of those things where it's like in years past, they would have fallen short at some point. They wouldn't have gotten a 4th down conversion. They wouldn't have got the 3rd and 7, and then Joe Burrow would have marched down the field and scored. But just to see his composure, Jayden Daniels' composure, the team's composure, again, it felt like, to your point, Bram, something completely different than we'd seen before.
It was just week 3, but I felt like that was the moment where they showed they could beat anybody anywhere on any stage, which leads me to Detroit, which really, to me, stands out as one of the things I'll remember always. And I think the thing that really stood out to me, because we were all on the field before the game, the overconfidence in the stadium was palpable by the crowd. But I think we all knew they're not paying attention to this team, and their defense wasn't playing well enough to be as confident as they were.
They weren't, and really, I think they were looking at it from the standpoint, hey, we went to the NFC Championship game last year against the San Francisco 49ers, the Detroit Lions, feeling like, oh, we should have won that ball game if not for a couple questionable, let's call it 4th down decisions. They felt like, hey, we're going to rest on our home field advantage. Washington, they're not good enough to beat us in our building. And just like you mentioned, the overconfidence I felt like. And for us, just watching it, like, I told multiple people, multiple Detroit fans, like, dude, we're going to beat y'all. Like, this ain't me being a homer. We're going to beat y'all.
And again, like just like the way, the noise, the confidence of the crowd, but then when it was silence with some of those explosive plays, some of the turnovers, and just how it went from this electric building to completely a Commanders crowd, and it wasn't a packed Commander Stadium, but like it was a special moment to win that playoff game.
Logan, for you and for Bram and I, we're up in the booth.
Yeah.
So, and we got the headphones on.
Yeah.
It's kind of muzzled a little bit of the sound, and I took it off for a minute. Like, let me really get a feel of this. How was it on that sideline with that crowd, that atmosphere?
So I got you on the headset too, but I couldn't hear you guys half the time, right? Like I had to like literally push my hands to my ears just so I could hear you guys talking because it was so loud. The crowd was so energetic. Like it was just such a cool moment to be down on the sideline and feeling that. And again, like to hear them slowly get quieter and quieter as the game went on. It just like the Commanders own that stadium.
He also likes to ignore what we have to say a lot too. So there's a little bit of both. Anyway, it was a magical season as we send it back to you, Brian.
An incredible regular season that no doubt set up an exciting postseason. The Commanders' incredible playoff run started in Tampa Bay for a rematch with the Buccaneers. A Zane Gonzalez 51-yard field goal advanced Washington to its first divisional game since 2012. The Commanders cruised past the top-seeded Lions in Detroit during the divisional round. Washington's defense forced 5 turnovers to lock in their spot to the NFC Championship for the first time since 1991. Fellas, you saw it, what a playoff run that was. We got to be there for all of it. We were on the road. Let's start out in Tampa. I think we made a lot of noise. I don't know if people were kind of sleeping on the Commanders coming into that playoffs. They were thinking we should just be happy to be there. But we showed we're not just happy to be here. We're here to dominate, man. How impressed were you to see Jayden Daniels in his first career playoff game take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Beyond what Jayden was able to go out there and do, I was impressed with just, my whole I think coming into that game, I had one thing in mind. I say, if they could slow down what Baker did to us in week 1, we have a chance. Because I feel like our offense moved the ball well. We just couldn't slow down Baker. And when I saw us get out to a great start, I'm like, we playing the kind of football I want to see. But in that game, it kind of turned when your boy got off. Mike started being Mike out there and was like, man, look here, man, we got to find a way just to get into coverage. But no, I was impressed with just seeing what Jayden did. But I think as a whole, that's what, I love the way the offense and defense played complementary football, and they was able to come out of nowhere to win.
I think what happened, what I saw was everyone kept talking about what Tampa had did before. And as we watched every week, we found this team doesn't make the same mistake, and they got better and better and better. So what Tampa was thinking, they found out wasn't the same. They had a mindset that they could do what they did in the first game, and quickly they realized that this offense, Jaden wasn't caring about the blitzing and all that stuff. And we kept saying, if the defense just give us one play, here we go with Wags coming up with the fumble, and then boom. Whenever we had gotten to a point where whenever we got the ball, we know we go down and score. And they did the exact same thing, So when they got the ball, I know we were like, okay, we good. The mindset changed completely.
Jaden wasn't the same young quarterback either. He was far beyond that first week one. Remember week one, he was holding on to it a little more. And that playoff game, he was willing and dealing. So I think that caught them off guard too, because they thought defensively they would be able to rattle him and get him out of his game, but they found out real quick, man, that he was way mature beyond the season. He had done grew up already.
He made Todd Bowles, and Todd's my boy. They blitz. He made them stop blitzing.
Get out of it,
Because what I've always known, Pat Mahomes, go all the way back to Peyton Manning. You blitz them, they throw the ball where you came from. And if they start connecting, you can't blitz anymore.
To me, that was like the perfect encapsulation of what we were able to do that season. How far we came from week one. Yes, it's a young team. And then we took all that momentum and went straight to Detroit. Now, I don't think anybody expected us to win. We knew. We came in there confident. We knew we could give it to Detroit. Detroit, one of the best teams in the NFL. But we got that W, D. Mitch.
You know what? That game right there, bro, that atmosphere was one of the best I've ever seen in my life. And then when you watch your young team go out there and ball like they did, you know what? It was a great atmosphere. And it went from being a great atmosphere to our atmosphere. Because Detroit was rocking, and Washington took over. And Jaden and that team, and then you got to give Mikey Sarenstein a lot of credit. That young buck played, bro. That defense, our defense played in that game. They were like, okay, I'm tired of offense getting all the damn praise. Let's do a little something.
Nah, I have to give the defense all the credit. Don't get me wrong, offensively, when I didn't did what they did, but if it's one game that I was scared of, and I didn't want to, comment on like going pregame, how we get on our show and talk, I wasn't very confident. I'm gonna tell you, I was like, come in here and play a good game, and then whatever happens, happens. When I out the gate, them guys did what they was able to do, especially the turnovers and being able to, put up a pick six. I think that just the momentum just shifted, and you watch what they was able to do. Detroit running the football. Gibbs, man, he was just phenomenal. At times, I was like, bro, it's no stopping this guy, and I didn't understand why they went away. We was talking about it, and we was up in the suite like. They had the audacity to come in and bring another guy in. Like, you want to get this thing to Montgomery? This guy's hard to stop. So
I was doing it. We were all happy. Thank you.
To their credit and to our credit, we went out there and we was able to bottle things up. We allowed them to score when they, when we couldn't stop them, but we got ahead so far that we was able to play our game.
And that win got us to our first NFC Championship game since 1991. Now, it did not go our way, however. I don't think anybody can be upset about the playoff run our Washington Commanders had. And fellas, man, it was a lot of fun being able to enjoy that with y'all, whether we was in the suite, whether we was in the sideline, whether we was in the tunnel. We had a lot of fun. Now, we got to go to break, but we still have a lot of fun stuff ahead. Coming up, we're looking back at quarterback Jaden Daniels' first season in the Burgundy and Gold. Our crew breaks down why the Offensive Rookie of the Year may have had the greatest rookie season ever. And later in the show, we're diving into the Commanders' defense. Our Batman and Robin duo of Sean Springs and Fred Smoot talk breakout players in the Commanders' secondary. That's all coming right after this break.
Jaden Daniels is such a revelation.
Let's go!
In comes a kid leading the Why Not Us Washington Commanders in a way we have never seen a team led by a rookie quarterback.
Nice moves, Daniels!
Escapes. That's a first down. He shows toughness, and he's like a key card guy. First guy in the building, last guy out of the building.
Davis lofted up towards McLaurin. He's open, over his shoulder, caught! Touchdown!
Jaden Daniels, end zone.
Caught for the touchdown!
He just continues to complete footballs, man. This kid has been on fire.
Touchdown, Washington! Gets to the corner of the end zone! Touchdown!
Zone, and is caught for a touchdown by McLaurin.
Let's take a look at the winning numbers brought to you by Maryland Lottery. Please play responsibly. And now here's a look at our rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels' numbers in 2024. Over 3,500 passing yards, a 69% completion percentage, 25 passing touchdowns, only 9 interceptions, and he broke a record with 891 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. Now, let's send it out to the Get Loud crew for more on QB1, Jaden Daniels.
Man, I feel underdressed for this next segment.
Listen, with him here,
Sean's got the mock neck on.
A mock neck, right?
Mock neck. That's why I'm drinking this, kicking it with me neck. You know what I'm saying? I gotta support my guy. I gotta support my team. Like, this is what I'm talking about. I swerve every time.
That's the ad right there. Yeah. We were kicking it with JD5 this season. Jedi 5, as you like to call him.
Jedi 5.
You know what's crazy is that I feel like a lot of Commanders fans are still like wrapping their heads around the fact that we saw. I don't think it's even arguable.
We witnessed a little greatness.
Yes, and the greatest.
A little greatness or a lot of greatness?
I say a little because it's just the start.
Hey, but here's the kicker though.
Okay.
I didn't think we had to have 4 seasons because we had PTSD from Rock. So
that's what it is. That's what it is.
The city was like, is this real?
No. When they was calling into the show, they would say that, and I was like, they're 2 different people.
It was like, it's RG3. I'm like, no, it's not.
No, they're 2 different people. And
explain JD5 what you see.
This is what I see when I see him. His preparation is Tom Brady-like. All right? His running skills is Lamar Jackson-like. His passing skills, his maturity as a passer reminds me of Warren Moon mixed with a Randall Cunningham.
I love that reference, by the way.
Pretty ball.
Yeah. So not only does he put the work in before the field, once he gets on the field, and he's that type of leader. And I can always tell when you're a locker room guy.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys where they will jump over a wall for this kid.
Yeah.
So, and not only did he make the DMV fall in love with him, he made the nation fall in love with him.
Yeah.
So that tells you that he's raised right and that he's a great person. So we got the full package. Usually one of those things are left off, and then your quarterback turns into Jeff George. We've seen these things before.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Well, and you're right. When you think about that level of preparation, oftentimes you see young guys and they're trying to figure out and do a lot. From day one, and maybe that's kudos to Cliff Kingsbury. He seemed like they had commanded the offense. They didn't give him too much, but we saw in the Tampa game, the first game, just right. Tampa game, he came up first read, he ran, he had rushing yards. But then as a season, and you think about like the Detroit game, or let's just take it back before, the Cincinnati game, Monday night, that big throw to Terry on the side in a big moment, trusting his receiver, you're like, okay, this kid gets it. And in big moments, I'm going to my guys. And then you look at later in the year, Detroit blitz, he gets the ball out before the safety can come in. So you talk about his preparation, you talk about his maturity.
And don't forget about the poise. All right, that's the one thing I didn't bring up right there because I said I had 6 things when it came to him. He had, if you look at the definition of poise in the dictionary.
That's why you call him a Jedi, man.
He's a Jedi. Yeah. Because he has ice water going through his veins.
Yes.
We watched this kid go on the road in Detroit.
His demeanor, no matter what.
Good, bad, interception, touchdown, does not matter. He's always in the middle, and that poise is going to take him a long way. And the way he processes success.
Yes.
It doesn't bother him. He just walks around like it's no problem. Like, I didn't just take us to the
He
next.
acts like he's been in the league for a decade.
Thank you. And I think the maturity comes from all those starts in college. And the way he was raised. I think all that melted into a pot, gifted us Jedi 5.
And when you land a kid like that in your organization, you got 15 years of excellence.
So try to get it right.
And everybody else is going to come up to that standard level. When they see the best player, it's the hardest worker, the most humble person on the team, it's only contagious and everybody else is going to feel
unbelievable we have this guy for God knows how long. Been searching for a franchise quarterback forever. BC, appreciate you. We'll send it back to you.
Shout out to the Get Loud crew for chopping it up about our offensive rookie of the year, Jaden Daniels. Now, every quarterback needs an elite wide receiver, and Terry McLaurin proved to be just that this season. He got his 5th straight 1,000-yard season. He broke a franchise record with 13 touchdowns. He had 82 receptions, a Pro Bowl selection, and of course, a second-team All-Pro selection. What a season for our guy, 1-7. You heard those numbers. You saw those numbers. 1-7 was a bad man this season. But Tanner, as you've been saying, he's always a bad man. He just was able to showcase it a little more. When you watch 1-7, Tanner, What did you see from him this year that you said, you know what, now he's finally getting able to step into that light that he always had?
I think every time we bring him up, I have to go back to what I saw when they broke for the little time they have off before training camp.
Yeah.
I spoke to y'all about it. We was out there still doing shows. Everybody went home to kind of get those 3 weeks off before training camp come. Terry was out there running wind sprints. I've been a player in this game. B. Mitch, you understand how it is. When you out there doing more, when you in a zone and you have something to prove, and I'm not sure if he had anything to prove, because Terry's been phenomenal every year. But I feel like just what I saw led me to believe that he was on a mission. And when I say you're on a mission, I've been in those zones before. I've been a guy that told myself before the season started, man, scratch what I did last year. This year, I'm finna go out there and ball out. And I just felt like that was the energy I was getting from day one. Now, the season didn't start that way because we was all talking about it week in and week out. Got to get more attempts to Terry. Got to get him involved more. But once they got on, it showed you how much it meant for him to have an actual quarterback, a guy that can actually give him the ball when he's open. And that, I can't talk enough about having a guy that can find you when it's time. You can sit here and talk all the hoopla in the world like, I need him to get the ball, but if he's not open or if it's not in the progression of the quarterback, why force it? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about this year. Jaden showed you when he got more comfortable and started understanding what was coming at him, he found Terry. And then he realized, oh, this is my guy. Yeah, I've seen Terry ball. I watched the tape, but this is my guy. And then he built that connection, and the rest was history.
I think early on, they didn't have that connection. But I know what we've seen prior to this, with Terry, how good he was with other quarterbacks that were not at the level of Jaden Daniels. Once they began to get that their little connection solidified, it was over there. Yeah. Terry was good with mediocre quarterbacks. Yeah. Now you got a bad dude like Jaden, and then he started to do his thing. Listen, I'm thoroughly thrilled about that because now we get to see what he really is. Everybody that was questioning him before the season, he dispelled all that. But he's not a number one. You damn straight he is. Okay, he's a number one. He's a bad man too, and we better start showing that love for 1-7.
There's no question now because when you down and out, get 1-7 the ball, let him ball out. Yeah. That was the story of this season. It was so great to see him get involved and build that chemistry, like you said, with Jaden a lot quicker. Here's your top 5 presented by UA Local 5 Plumbers, protecting the health of the nation's capital since 1890. Now, here's how the Commanders' offense stacked up through the 2024 season. They were 7th in total offense, 5th in scoring offense, 3rd in rushing offense, 17th in passing offense, and they were 1st in the league in converting on 4th down. Man, that's impressive. Now, let's send it out to the Commanders radio crew for more on this impressive Washington run game.
All right, thanks, Brian. Let's talk about the run game a little bit this year. I think it was one of the big surprises, I think, of the early part of the season, how effective they were. Over and over, 200-plus yard team rush days. I think we knew Jaden was a weapon, but I didn't think we knew entirely how effective the rush offense would be.
No, I was totally surprised by that, and I think that was one of the big question marks about Cliff Kingsbury's offense coming in. How would you mesh that? I think having Anthony Lynn come in and be a part of being a run game coordinator, bringing some of those principles that he from the San Francisco 49ers, from the Kyle Shanahan offense. I was extremely impressed with the way we ran the ball. The one I was most impressed with, when we ran for 267 yards against the Tennessee Titans. In that game, we were like, hey, Tennessee Titans, one of the top rushing defense in the league. Are we really going to be able to run the ball consistently against them?
Yeah, I think just the variety that they brought. They got the GT, they got straight counter, they got outside zone, they got inside zone, they got the zone read, and just how varied the quarterback run game was. That was pretty fantastic. And also, I think we have to talk about just Jaden's effectiveness as a scrambler, right? A lot of those yards he was able to find this year wasn't on anything designed for him. It's him making good decisions from the pocket, him elevating on 3rd down, and again, you don't become the leading rusher for your team unless you're making excellent decisions as a passer and as a runner. So I think that was a huge element, and again, there were sluggish moments in the season, but overall I think there was some really impressive stuff from a schematic standpoint.
I think tempo was part of it too. We saw it in the preseason that they basically showed everybody what they were going to do with tempo by doing it in the limited amount that we saw the starters, and it carried over, and it really carried them. And I think the rush offense started to build off of that, specifically early. I don't think people were kind of quite ready to how to handle the Washington offense this year.
When you a lot of times when you face those that up-tempo offense, so from a defense standpoint, we're not going to disguise as much. We got to show our hands. It allows the quarterback to get answers to the test right away before the ball is snapped. So, hey, whether it's a check with me, whether you're shifting back from the right side to the left side, just putting you in the best position. So the tempo definitely played a huge part.
And the other thing was the communication that we talked about, right? I think against Tampa Bay, like it forces the defense to communicate in a way that they're not used to communicating, right? You're on the road. The Commanders' offense has the ability to communicate with hand signals, and they have this nonverbal communication that's been established since the preseason. All of a sudden, you're stressing the defense not only from a formation alignment standpoint, but how do we get these checks communicated like you're talking about? So it was a really nice feature of the offense, one that you kind of didn't expect. I didn't expect it to be that effective in terms of cultivated a run game, but it was really cool to watch that.
Yeah, and I think as the season progressed, things kind of slowed down for them. A lot of that, I think, had to do with attrition on the offensive line. There were a number of guys that were going in and out. Brian Robinson had missed a couple of games. Depth was really tested here. So I think as they move forward, if they want to try to replicate what they've done outside of all the amazing things that Jaden does, I think they're going to have to address the depth on the offensive line.
Yeah, I think so. And really, be honest, that his injury, I think, really affected the offensive line. Even though he was playing, I think he maybe missed one game, if I'm not mistaken.
He was banged up.
He was bad.
And you saw that affect his ability to kind of, some of the run blocking schemes and things like that, especially with the offensive line in general, especially the interior offensive line. That definitely hurt the production.
Yeah, I think bringing him in as a free agent addition was fantastic. I mean, his understanding of the offense, his ability to target runs, is going to be a huge asset. But I do think, if you can bring in some more depth, some more talent, it's going to elevate, whoever the running back is next year. It's going to allow you to do more stuff. You look at the best rush teams in football, Detroit Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Baltimore Ravens, they're talented, deep, and physical on the offensive line. I think we should start thinking about emulating something like that.
It's going to be interesting, too, because the entire staff is back, which is a real win, I think, off of the offseason for having all this. So we'll see what year 2 brings with the rush game as we send it back to Brian.
Coming up next on the Command Center Recap Special, Sean and Fred take a deep dive into the Commanders secondary and talk some breakout performers in the backfield. Plus, D-Mitch and Santana are highlighting some superstar performers on the Commanders' defensive front. And later, London, the captain, is setting the tone and talking all things linebackers. That's coming up right here on this star-studded Command Center Recap Special. Now here's a look at the Commanders' defensive averages throughout the 2024 season. Some very impressive numbers here, but what's most impressive is the passing yards. Our ranking was 3rd in the league. Great job for our secondary and first-year defensive coordinator, Joe Witt Jr. Now, fellas, let's really dive into this defense. It's time for the best seat in the house, presented by SeatGeek. The most disruptive idea in ticketing, a ticket that works. Expect the expected. SeatGeek. Fellas, you saw those defensive numbers, man. We got to give love to Joe Witt Jr. First time being a defensive coordinator. Dan Quinn trusted him and brought him in, and man, was he impressive. Yeah. When you look at what Joe Witt Jr. was able to accomplish, and even as you said this off air, this wasn't the roster he picked. This is the roster he inherited. How happy were you with what Joe Witt Jr. did in this first year?
I was happy because, as the season went on, you saw the defense. Everyone talked about the offense so much. I'm going to take you back. In 1987, when the Washington Redskins at the time, they scored 35 points in one quarter. Everybody talking about how great the offense was. Well, the offense wouldn't get the damn ball back to themselves, okay? So defense is very, very prevalent in that. And our defense began to get the ball. They say ball is life. They started to take that life away from the other football teams. And he didn't have the dogs that he wanted. I'm looking forward to when he gets some of the guys that he truly wants to go after those quarterbacks and stuff, the things he can do. Because they came up with timely turnovers, timely big plays. Here, a game in and game out, and that doesn't happen by mistake. So we can look at it and see where they were missing some spots on defense, and they still made plays. So that tells you a lot about the guy who's sitting up there scheming all that stuff up.
Mad scientist. I think B-Mitch hit it on the head. I don't need to elaborate much on about how he was able to conduct things, because I feel like he was a conductor up there, basically calling the shots. I just like to hear the man talk. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's something about it. Bro, look here. I sit there I wait. I listen to B-Mitch's show, him and JP all the time, and I just listen to see what the coach is saying on that particular day, Friday, I think it is. And I just want to hear Joe Witt. The way he speaks, it's like a man that's sure about what his team going to go out there and do. And when you watch those guys play, it was like hearing him talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're going to be violent at arrival. You know what I'm saying? We're going to play with that kind of tenacity.
Yeah.
And
Ball is life.
Ball is life. The ball started popping up in our hands. I mean, Louisville getting picks, Chin getting picks, Sander, you know, all these guys started coming up with the ball. Turnovers, our DMs coming out there. You know, Dante, all those guys, Armstrong, everybody just found a way to get the ball back. And that's, like I say, you hear a lot of coaches speak about it. But when you start seeing the plan move to the same, see the team move at the same beat, it's special.
And turnovers really were Joe Witt Jr.'s bread and butter, especially with that secondary. And I think when we came into the season, a lot of people were kind of questioning what our secondary would be very, very young. However, we were third in passing defense. That's crazy to say. And a lot of that had to do with our secondary. We had some new pieces, but a lot of young guys. What did y'all see from this season from these guys that makes you very, very optimistic about the future?
Thing that made me very optimistic is when hearing Nick Saban saying that Mikey Sarenstein was the best athlete in the draft.
It wasn't his play. He just said it.
And then you thought he was going to be a slot guy. He ends up being your outside guy, and probably was the best cornerback on the team.
Arguably,
And then when you start looking at that dude, he is a leader. He's very much like Jaden on the other side of the football. You know, but I'll go back a little earlier. At the beginning when they started doing that bag drill, I had a lot of people ask me, are they going to do that all year? I say, if the coach establishes it, he sticks to it, that's going to be something for him. So I asked players later on. The players say that gets us awakened for practice. And you watch them. They did that late in the season, too. And you watch them on that football field, those guys are waking up.
They woke us up.
They found a way to begin to do things and make the plays when they needed to make the plays. And that's not the easy thing. Many people cannot make the play when it needs to be made. They just make a play. But Washington with the defense this year was like, we need the ball back. Bam, they go get the ball. You know, and then you give it to Jaden. So that I'm telling you, all that stuff, what Dan has done and built here, everything works. You know, and I just want to see what we got, what's coming for the future.
Man, I think we're all excited about the future, man. It was so much fun being on that field, and it was even more fun getting to hear our radio broadcast crew. Let's bring them in and hear from them how they felt.
Okay, so let's talk about the defensive front and pressure. And I think if you go back to the summer and the offseason, some of the big questions were, where's the pass rush going to come from? What will the run defense look like? A lot of new faces, new system, everything. It all seemed to kind of come together with a lot of moving parts this year.
Yeah, I think that defensive front deserves a ton of credit. I think the additions of Fowler, the additions of Armstrong, the additions of Louvu, the additions of Wagner, really, like in that front, in terms of being able to cultivate a pass rush. And everyone said, oh, how are they going to do it? They don't have that elite guy anymore. But I think you really saw a really nice understanding of Joe Witt Jr., of how to call a game, how to maximize third down situations, how to maximize these kind of negative, explosive negatives the defense were able to create, getting in these sort of long situations, when to rush the passer. You know, he credited Ryan Kerrigan for kind of finding these tells for the defensive linemen. I think you saw that kind of at a premium this year. So I'm really impressed with the group. Obviously, there's things they could work on in terms of stopping the run, but rushing the passer, I was really impressed with that, how versatile they were.
Yeah, I thought we didn't have that, prototypical, edge guy that teams came into the game saying, hey, we got to stop him, like a Myles Garrett or somebody. But Dante Fowler being able to have double-digit sacks, Frankie Louvu, what he was able to do, even Bobby with his ability to blitz up the middle. That's it. Not even necessarily getting the sacks, but being able to get the quarterback off his spot, get pressure on the quarterback. Those things were key from a defensive line standpoint. They would love to add more depth, especially I think at the defensive tackle position. When we had John out for the games that he missed, we definitely needed another guy in the mix as a run stopper. So as we look at this offseason, adding more to that defensive front, trying to re-sign a guy like a Dante Fowler who had the type of season he has, I think that'll be one of the things they make a priority.
Throughout the course of the season, too, I think when you see positives, especially when you see guys that come in late, Sheldon Day, Carl Davis, Jalen Holmes, all ended up being contributors and not big names, but they showed up and they kept the defense afloat when injuries occurred and when they needed rotational pieces.
Yeah, and I think that's a credit to Adam Peters, right? Being able to constantly identify a need and then kind of find the right pieces that are going to fit that need later down the road, right? Like, who would have thought Sheldon Day would have been as disruptive in that second Philly game, right? Tackles for losses, really being disruptive, penetrating up the field. Carl Davis, again, in the playoff game, taking on double teams, letting those linebackers free up. So understanding what they need and understanding the right type of person to bring in, I think was a great personnel move. But I think to Fletch's point, you want guys that have a little bit more consistent juice, right? A little bit more playmaking ability. And that's not a knock on the guys that are here, but it's the same thing with the offense. You just want to get more talented.
I think from as we look at it from the run game standpoint, defensively, I think they'll do a hard dive into, hey, what is it that we need to do better to improve our run defense? Because if you look at it, the pass rush was consistent. We did a good enough job with the pass coverage. How can we improve our run defense? That's how we take the next step as a defense.
You know, this was also year one for Joe Witt calling plays. He even admitted late in the season that he decided after a few weeks, I'm going to stop trying to call a perfect game. I'm going to let it flow a little bit. And I think you kind of saw that. The team really took to it, and the chemistry was there. But an upgrade to the roster, I think, is in the making here this spring, whether it's free agency or the draft, as we send it back to you, Brian.
The success for the guys up front has a lot to do with the play of the defensive backfield. Now, here's a look at some leaders in the Commanders secondary this season. You see a leader in total tackles, Jeremy Chin, with 117 passes defended. That goes to the rookie, Mike Sanderstill, with 14. And he led the team in interceptions with 2. And then, of course, Quan Martin with 3 forced fumbles. Now let's send it down to our Get Loud crew to hear more about our Commanders secondary. Take it away, fellas.
Now we're going to talk about the secondary, and I just happen to have a couple of secondary guys.
The position that matters?
The position that matters the most.
And this is our position that we're used to. Him on the left, I'm on the right.
And then you're like, what is this white guy doing over here?
Jinx in the middle.
Get him off the field immediately.
No, I call you Jinx the Gene.
Okay.
Don't you worry about that.
So when you look at the secondary this year, obviously Marshawn Lattimore was a huge piece. Didn't play till late in the season. Mikey Sanders still was awesome. So what do you see from this secondary moving forward? There's a lot of pieces to build upon.
I've been asked a lot of questions, especially on the show about Lattimore. And I tell you, first of all, he's a dog.
He is a dog.
We got him in mid-season while he was injured. We brought him back after being injured and asked him to go one-on-one with some of the best. I knew it was going to take him time to catch his footing, to learn the defense, to learn how to play off of Jeremy Chin, how to learn how to play off Martin, how to learn how to play with these guys. So it has to be in that defensive backfield. It has to be communication, it has to be synergy, and it has to be, am I my brother's keeper? Do I got your back? And sometimes that's earned. Right? And he wasn't here in that earning section.
Yeah, we came into a season with feeling like we had talent back there, but it was a lot of unknown. Then nobody really had like games under their belt. We seen splashes of it with the young boys, and then we drafted a rookie.
Mike Sanderstill.
We felt like if he was 2 inches taller, he might have been a top 5 pick in the NFL.
Saban doing the draft.
Pound for pound, best player in the draft.
And we knew we had St. Jude's and then Igbenogany, a guy we never even heard of.
Pleasant surprise. But people forget that he's a former first-round pick.
Exactly. So when you think about it, in the secondary, the communication, you got to figure out how guys play well and play well together. So you don't know. But you could tell they were building something special. Chin, big physical cat.
Downhill.
Cam Chancellor, very similar to what they had in Seattle.
And then Quan Martin, I thought, really grew as the year went.
Grew, ball hawk, was very smart. But the thing that was the biggest thing for me is when Mikey, who came on early, was like, this kid got some talent. We was playing him in the inside. But when we were like, man, they moved him to the outside. Igbenogany went inside. The whole secondary just took a whole nother level. And sometimes it's about spread. To tell you, it's about chemistry. A lot of times people don't know I moved and played in the secondary with him, and we kind of talked a lot. So the chemistry was amazing.
I hate to toot my own horn, but he was the best rookie cornerback drafted by the Redskins since me. You know. That's how
good Cam better, man.
Well,
I like how Chandler behind the camera was like,
I was out the champ. So I said, since me.
Well, those guys made plays,
but
man.
You know what? Can you expand a little bit on the communication aspect? Because I know, like, talking to you, like, you guys would look at each other at times and be like,
and we know exactly
you know exactly what's going to happen.
But we will talk doing film sessions. This is how we're going to attack this. This is how we're going to play this strategy. All right, Blue, you coming over here when you in the nickel, and they finna try to do this bunch. Blue, like, all right, we're going to box this, and I'm going to jump the inside.
And a lot of times, too, communication comes where you know people's strength and weaknesses.
I know my fellas.
You know, so I know that. So let's talk about it. I know that You know, you got a guy like Quan Martin who seems to be a very instinctive player.
And versatile.
Yep. So you know, hey, I might be a little bit behind on the dig, but he gonna be right there. So, you know, you saw great communication, great unity. They played together. Nobody really out of place this year, and I thought it was great.
And stop being so political. Like, simply this is communication.
Yeah.
Hey, coach called this, but Smoot, I'm finna jump this route. Watch my back.
Right. Yeah.
All right,
That's
so
true.
now I'm
That's
gonna
true.
play my mind higher and know I can't be aggressive
Yeah.
to give him a chance to go make a play.
Wow.
Yeah, so many pieces to build upon, man.
Yeah.
You guys had great communication. You're going to see that build amongst the Commanders
I
secondary.
made it better, Jinx. I made it better.
I know you did.
Just
Just like with the jacket tonight. You made everything a little bit better.
Everything a little better, you know?
BC, we'll send it back to you.
Coming up next, we are switching gears to the 2025 NFL Draft. Logan Paulson talks preparing for next week's NFL Combine. Plus, our crew throws it back to some of their draft day memories. That's next on Command Center Season Recap Special.
Hello? This is Mikey. Hello. Javante? Yep. Who are you with?
A lot of people right now.
All right. Well, tell them to start cheering because you're going to be a commander.
The Washington Commanders select Mike Sandersfield.
But we're going to pull the card. We're going to pick Jordan McGee from Temple, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
Can't wait to make you a commander. You play just how we want you to play, man.
Which one is it?
And I couldn't be more proud to pick you to represent our franchise. So, congratulations, man.
The Washington Commanders select Jaden Daniels, quarterback, LSU.
Jazon Newton. Man, I have a ton of belief in you. I can't wait to see you play for us.
The Commanders' 2024 draft class put on a show in their rookie season. Adam Peters' first draft class in Washington proved to be staples on both sides of the ball, including the league's Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. The Commanders are officially on the clock for the 2025 NFL Draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Washington currently holds the 29th overall pick in the first round. Just a few more weeks until AP and DQ make the calls to the next round of Commanders. It's time to secure the W, presented by Hercules Fence. Security in every job. Fellas, man, what a fun special it's been so far. I love these little breaks we get because I've been able to eat up on these oysters and grub good. The food has slowly gotten less and less as we spoke now.
I haven't had anything.
Now, y'all saw that was draft. You saw we have the draft coming up, and AP and company won the draft last year. I think we can all agree on that. So as we go into the 2025 NFL Draft, what do you want to see from them as they approach this draft and drafting these prospects?
You know, I want to see a continuation because what happens in the draft is people start talking about who's great. And everybody jump on that narrative. What AP, Dan, and the scouting department did, they found out who was great for this season, for the things they wanted to do. I just want to see them keep doing that. And when you hit, you should hit on your first and second round hit. But when your third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round hit, when you start doing stuff like that, that's when you're special. Because I've said to people many times, you're going to have first rounders, but if you get a seventh rounder who can play like a third rounder, or a fourth rounder who can play like a second rounder, or a third rounder who can play like a first rounder, that's when you know you're winning the draft. And they proved that this year. Keep doing that, and I promise you, things are going to be back how it used to be. It got good last year, but you know what? I'm looking for parade. Pennsylvania Avenue. That's what I'm looking for.
I say it all the time. I mean, people ask the question about what makes a great GM and how are they able to have great long careers. I think when you look at some of the I guess you can say teams in this league that's been successful for a long stretch, you gotta look at Baltimore. We knew who was over there for so long. Hell, I go back to the Steel Curtain.
Yeah.
They had a guy that was a journalist that ended up having a chance to dilly-dab and say, I'm going to go out here and hide a guy. I'm going to hide Hawk Star Wars film just so nobody can look at him so we can get him. Like, that's what makes the team special when you have a guy that has the eye for talent.
Yes.
And it's not about getting a guy that's ready to come in here right now. It's about getting a guy off of potential. You know what I'm saying? So people get caught up in this whole, he's a first round and he got to come out. No, I want to get that guy that's that people don't really understand that his circumstance didn't allow him to be what he can be in the NFL when he gets behind the good team that's going to allow him to play like that. So I just want to see us continue to bring in contributors, guys that's going to contribute to what we've already started. And if we can do that, man, if you can be consistent with bringing in the right kind of talent that we can develop and go out and out the gate can go out there and play and be a part of what we're doing, you don't have to necessarily start. Just be a part of what we're doing. Find your niche, whether it's special teams, whatever it is, second team, third, find your niche and be a part of it, man. This team is going to be talked about for a long time.
I think it's very much Adam Peters when we watch him all year. Yeah. Like they said about Stuart Scott. Yeah. That dude is cool as the other side of the field.
No doubt.
And I will go with him anywhere he wants to go.
And fellas, a perfect example of what y'all are talking about. 7th round pick Stanley Jean-Baptiste. Playing in playoff games, not because we needed him to play, but because he earned the right to be on that field. And I can't wait to see what our 2025 draft class looks like. And more on that, let's send it over to our radio broadcast crew. Y'all looking good over there. Y'all take it away and talk about what y'all want to see in 2025 in the draft.
All right, so Logan's heading to the Combine.
I'm headed to the Combine, man. I'm really excited about it. It's one of the best events of the year.
You love that stuff,
I do love that stuff, man. I love the nerdy arm length, 40 time, put it in the algorithm, make that Excel spreadsheet, get that all stuff worked out. But it's also a great opportunity to kind of see the people and the pieces that are going to be future commanders, right? Can you identify who's got that C on their chest, who's got that commander's tag? And it's something that is so fun to kind of speculate and think about, especially after Adam Peters had such a tremendous year. And he showed an ability in the draft and in free agency to find talent at a high level. So in this draft, like we talked about, maybe not the highest peaks, but there are good football players, and I think Adam Peters
this doesn't feel like last year's draft where it's very top-heavy, specifically at quarterback. Not that Washington needs one, but even players like Joe Alt that were like obvious going to be really great football players. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of those this year. It's a very different draft.
Well, your college scouts are really going to have to do a great job, especially where we're drafting. Right now, we currently have, the 29th pick in the draft. We're not accustomed to being in that spot, which is a great place to be. I love to be drafted 32 next year, so that means we won it all. I'll say this. A lot of what we do in the draft is going to be predicated by what we're able to accomplish in free agency. Fill whatever needs, immediate needs, within reason. I don't think we're going to spend crazy from a free agent standpoint, but from the draft, build guys, add what you mentioned, commanders, true guys that you want to bring on this team and be a part of this culture.
If you are looking for position groups, though, what comes to mind to me are edge rusher and offensive line. Seem to be the two if they stay at 29.
I mean, at 29, man, there's a plethora of edge rushers. I did like a ranking on Ticket to the Draft last week, and there's 20 guys that you feel good about contributing to your team right now. And I think those guys are kind of, first to third round types of selections. Offensive line's a little bit thinner, but there's a ton of tight ends, there's a ton of running backs. Defensive tackle, you talked about that earlier, we were talking about the front, there are a ton of really, really talented guys, big guys, small guys, pass rush guys, so pick your flavor. And if you know what you're looking for, you can find the right type of piece here for the Commanders.
He wants a defensive player.
Me? You know what? Not necessarily. When I look at what Philadelphia's defensive line was able to do to Kansas City, I think shoring up our offensive line would be, kind of if we're not able to accomplish those things in free agency to our liking, I wouldn't be opposed to add to that offensive line.
Free agency first, draft next. We'll see what AP and company do as we send it back to Brian.
Shout out to our radio crew. Now you can catch Logan out at the Combine next week on the Ticket to the Draft podcast. That drops every Monday. And the Command Center podcast with Logan Santana and Fred drops every Wednesday. Then, of course, the flagship show, Command Center, that comes out on Thursdays. But sometimes we like to give you a special every now and then. So make sure you stay tuned to the Commanders YouTube page. And then, of course, last but not least, the Get Loud podcast. It has a new home. It's moving to Fridays. That's right. The Get Loud podcast will now be streaming on the Commanders YouTube page Fridays. And the audio will be wherever you get your podcast. Now, speaking of the Get Loud crew, Fred, Sean, and James, why don't y'all tell us what the fans can expect from y'all moving forward every Friday?
I just want to say, not to be too emo here, but I covered you guys when you played. I've been working with you guys for a long time, and how amazing is it that here we are in 2025 and we're talking about a winning season and the road ahead.
This is beyond the
like you guys
feel good.
No, it feels really good. It's been an awesome. Been an awesome.
First of
run
all,
for everyone.
it was beyond awesome. The ride that these kids took us on, and Coach Quinn and the rest of the guys took us on this year, was making me more excited than what just happened in the past. Was it's just the start, Jinx. This is the beginning.
We part of the brotherhood, man. We part of the brotherhood.
This is just the beginning of something that could be a special decade-plus thing. I'm excited.
I'm excited. This brotherhood, you felt it all year long. And the emotional roller coaster for tonight, the Hail Mary.
I mean, it's been amazing.
It was just that all year long. And then it just started to peak.
That's the thing. It's been awesome, and we're just getting started. That's the best part about it all. So great to be with you guys. We'll send it back to our Game Day Live crew.
2025.
Shout out to the Get Loud crew. Fred and Sean, they're going to get kicked up out of here, man. I promise.
You already know.
Commanders family, we had so much fun getting the whole Command Center family together to bring you this special from out here in Ashburn, Virginia, out at DC Prime. We love DC Prime. We love being here. It feels like home, fellas. And what a season we've had, man. It's been nice to get the Game Day crew back. I've missed y'all, man. And Commanders family, we ain't going nowhere, though. We know we have more content coming for y'all. It's the off season. It's draft time. We have so much more fun planned, but we wanted to make sure we gave you this special to let y'all know how much we appreciate y'all for rocking with us each and every day of the week. For Santana Moss, Brian Mitchell, Logan Paulson, Graham Weinstein, London Fletcher, Fred Smooth, Charles Freeze, Mike Jakes. Did I miss anybody?
You got them all right.
We are out of here. We will see y'all real soon.